guys, welcome back to Stumblin Forward. This is Kristen Herman, one of your hosts, and
I'm Monica Ortega.
Awesome. And today we're actually speaking to Kiyana Thomas. Kiyana, a national board certified teacher. So a national board certified teacher to homeschool mompreneur. Kiyana Thomas teaches and coaches women on how to design a life they love centered around faith, family, and homeschool. Kiyana is a woman of many talents and enjoys providing value through her blog and YouTube channel. Welcome to the show, Kiyana. I am going to say I love mompreneur. That's really cool.
I just started hearing that for the first time. I love that term.
I'm like, I've never heard that. And when I read it, I was like, yes, I am really on board for mompreneur. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you got started, why, where you shifted, what's going on?
Well, I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I wound up in North Carolina as a result of my mom moving and that kind of thing. And I always had a desire and wanted to go back home, but the Lord said no. He was like, you need to stay put. And
as he does in his own ways.
Okay.
As he does.
And you have two choices. You could be obedient, or you can just do what you want to do. You know what the end result will be for that.
Yeah.
And that piggybacks off of the rest of my story. So I went into education. There's a lot of educators in my family, and I absolutely loved education. I remember as a child playing school, but I didn't never want to be the student. I had to be the teacher. We're going to argue if you want me to be the student. No, I'm the teacher. You need to be the student.
Those kids doing that, it's just like, no, you got to sit down. Where's my apple? Where's the apple that I'm going to eat?
I had to be the teacher. And so, this is a story I never tell a whole lot of people. So people don't even know this part of me. Although I had that teaching in me, I've always had this passion for fashion and wanted to pursue that. I've actually traveled to Italy and studied fashion design. Nobody knows that. But I've actually traveled and studied fashion design and pattern making. But the point of all of that is, again, just leading to being obedient and following God's plan for my life versus my plan. So my passion was fashion. And like I said, I pursued that and went into Italy and all of that. And I will tell you, I recall being in that environment and being in that situation. I was the furthest away from God. That fashion industry, and I'm just talking about my experience. I was the furthest away from God, but I had to go through that. Mm-hmm. I had to go through that experience. I had to go into teaching and all of that to now be home and be okay with being home with my children.
Yeah.
Because of the type of person I am, it would have never been enough. And I see this a lot. This is why being a mompreneur is so important. I see so many women at home not feeling good about themselves. And they'll even say, oh, I'm only a mom. I'm only a, and I'm like, what does that mean? No, you are who you are. And in that space and in that time, in this season, you are doing your job. But if you don't feel good.
Journey. Yeah. Yes. Unique journeys. Honestly, like what you had jumping from fashion teaching, being like mompreneur, that's just like so many jumps. But like you said, following that journey, that's your process, what you need. And that's where, like you said, like these moms or even just regular everyday people being like, I'm just this, I'm just a bartender. I'm just a sales rep. It's like, no, that's where you are right now. And then you can follow that journey to where you need to be. That's amazing.
Exactly. And I think in that point, Kristen, that you hit on, and my daughter, I have 5 children.
Oh my goodness.
I have 4 girls.
Congratulations.
4 girls and 1 boy. And one of my daughter's names is Kristen.
Is it I-N or E-N? How does she spell?
It's Ian.
Okay. Well, I'm I-N. Everyone spells it E-N and they spell it wrong all the time. But, right. I guess right all the time. Whatever. So, no problem.
Just goes to how unique we are, right? That's just how unique we are as people.
Love
That's
it.
but you brought up a great point, and now I forgot the point that I was
That's
gonna
okay.
say.
It's probably the journey, right? I'm thinking it's the
Oh,
journey
the
point,
journey,
but
the journey. Yes, that's. I was like, I
the
forgot
journey of names. Sorry.
the journey, but that's it. That's the whole point. Most of us are so focused on the destination that we don't enjoy ourselves in the journey, and
Mhm.
so we can't respect and we can't like relish in that moment and that meantime process because we are expecting and looking at where we should be or where we want to be,
Yep.
not realizing that where we are right now is the steps that we need to take to get us to where we want to be.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, when you had your kids, did you always want to homeschool, or how did this come about? Was it something that you just fell into, or was that the plan?
So again, that's a great question, and no, the short answer is no. I did not want to homeschool, and I would say even now, I wouldn't say I want to homeschool. I was called to homeschool.
Wow.
And what that means is, so my first daughter is 20, full ride scholarship in college. So she,
Oh,
That's
yay.
amazing. Good for her.
thank you, thank you. So my first daughter, when I was called and knew that that's what I should do, I was not obedient. I did not listen. And I would even say my husband wasn't really on board either. So that made it easier for me not to be
Yeah.
obedient. You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, fine. I'm gonna continue working and doing my thing. And she goes to school. But I'm gonna tell you what kind of made it okay for me because we were all into sports and everything. And then the state that we were in, or the city, maybe, I'm not sure if it's the state, but anyway, the laws that they had, they did not allow homeschoolers to participate on the high school teams. So
What?
you couldn't be
Oh.
homeschool and you couldn't do in the high school, like join the high school team.
Is that common for some other places where it would they would be allowed to
Yes.
join the high school teams? Okay.
Yes, there in
Okay.
some places, just to spend it, depending on your state, each state has different homeschool laws.
Okay.
And to figure that out, again, I'm an advocate. You would think I would work for the company. HSLDA.org is where you would
Nice.
go to find the laws for your state. But so finding out for my state that they couldn't do that and she wasn't allowed, and we were big into sports. This is she has a athletic scholarship full ride to college.
Yeah.
So I kind of set back and didn't really push it because I wanted her to be in the eyes of college coaches and things like that, to be able to be recruited, in other words.
Yeah.
So I didn't push it for her. And each child, I was still working. And it wasn't until my last child, so my fifth child, that God really like the Holy Spirit just really put it on me. It was like, you need to homeschool.
Yeah.
And I finally put my hands up and was like, okay, I'm obedient. Okay, I'm going to listen. But listen, by that time, I had become, so during that whole process of the 5 children, I had become a national board certified teacher, a teacher of the year. I was a FCCLA state advisor. So I'm like doing all of this stuff. I'm
And
speaking and I'm doing all of this stuff through education.
with that, would you have to just drop? You have to to homeschool. Would you have to drop all of that? Like, would you have to
Oh
stop
yeah. Oh
teaching?
yeah.
And so that's so hard to just be like, you have all of this in front of you, all these accomplishments, and just like you're like, no, I know that I need to be over here.
Yeah.
That's a big risk. I mean, like in your
Yeah.
mind, yeah, that's
Well, when
crazy.
you would look at it as a risk if you feel like the next move that you need to make is not for you. So most people try to see the outcome. We want to
Mhm.
have, before we move forward, before we take that step, we want to know what the outcome is going to be. But that's what faith is.
Yeah.
So all
Yes.
I know is if God told me to go, then I know He's going to take care of me. And
Yeah.
listen, by that time, and I was making really good money. I'm not bragging or anything, but with those extra credentials, again, my national boards and my masters, my pay was not a regular teacher salary. I was making really good money. But when I walked away, it wasn't the first year, and I don't think it was the second year. By the third year, my husband's income replaced my income in his.
Wow.
Wow.
By the third year. So that just shows when you are obedient, God is going to take care of you.
Thousand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's
So can I ask, what was your specialty in teaching, like, or what grade points, or did you go for a specific subject? Just so I can get some background.
Yes, so family and consumer sciences. So that
Okay.
goes, look, and I forgot to even, so that's, although I was teaching, I still was teaching what I love. I was
Mm-hmm.
able to teach fashion design. I was
Yes.
able to teach interior design. I taught, one of my least favorite classes was what they call like foods and nutrition, things like that.
Yeah. I
Now,
love
I
that
love
class.
to cook. Yeah. Now, I love to cook, but it was just the caliber of the class because I do everything times 10. Like we
Hmm.
going to the nationals, we going to like, I'm just not in
Yeah.
a classroom. We're doing the whole nine. And
Yeah.
that
Top
class,
chef. It's happening.
yes, I mean, we was all over the place. We were not just in a classroom. We were taking field trip. We was just doing the
Nice.
most,
So
honestly. We
that's
were
middle school then. Middle school, high school?
middle school and high school,
Yeah.
yes.
Very cool.
So then
Awesome.
how was that transition? I mean, I know it's one thing to take the leap and be like, okay, God, I know this is what you want me to do. It's another thing when you're in the thick of it and you're like, this is, how did you feel about that?
Listen, my first day, I had to call my cousin. I think by the end of the first week homeschooling, I had to call my cousin nearly in tears. Now, I'm a national board certified teacher with my master's degree, and I'm calling in tears. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm going to tell you, and this is why I can tell homeschool parents when they are first getting started, one of the things you'll hear me say over and over again, don't try to recreate school at home.
Mm,
And I'm speaking from experience.
yeah.
So the first week, we get there and I had everything laid out. They got their binders, they got their bit, like, we're ready. Like, I'm in the classroom and I'm like sitting down. Okay, guys, like, I'm teaching, like, in the classroom. Girls, listen, they
Yeah.
ran circles around me.
Oh no.
They ran circles around. I was like, what is going on? I was
It's like, wait a minute, how am I supposed to do this? Like,
I was like
wait.
nearly in tears. And that's when I realized, like, being a teacher and being a mommy, like they can't see that and they were really young. And I had
Yeah.
4 of them. So I was like, so it was a baby. She was a baby at that time. And then 4 years old and then 5 and 6 years old. So they were young. And I'm trying to teach. They was not hearing it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You're mom, you're not teacher, you're mom.
Yeah. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah. So how did you break through that and like actually be able to teach them or like break that difference?
Well, I'm going to tell you, just like in my classroom, and I think that's one of the things that made me such a great and unique teacher was I always was self-evaluating. And if something didn't work, I was ready to scrap it. It was easy for me to scrap it. I could easily go to my students and say, and although, yes, they were much older and we can have these conversations like, okay, what's working? What did you like about that? Like I was constantly doing that.
Yeah.
But at first, I didn't bring that into my own home, and so when I talk to, and this is why it's important to keep people in your circle that's going to uplift and motivate you, people who are going to encourage you. So like I said, by the end of that first week, I was in tears, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And I called my cousin, my confidant, and we share and talk, and she, she's a businesswoman and doing her thing as well. And she just put it to me plain. She was like, girl, you are a national board certified teacher. What's your master's degree? Like she had to break it down.
Like you can handle this.
Right.
You can handle it.
Right. Like, what are you doing? She was like, just take a step back and just ask yourself some questions. And I did that. And I was like, okay, what would I do if I was actually teaching in a school and it wasn't working? And that's what I did. Even though they were younger, so they was like, oh, we want to ride the bus and we want to do this and we want to do that. Okay, let's do it.
Let's go ride a bus.
Let's do it.
That's awesome.
And that's such good advice just for anybody in any career. Like when you feel burned out or swamped or lost on what you're going to do, take a step back. Just take a step back.
Ask your questions. Yeah.
It's not. And then that's great advice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with the coaching for other women, when did that come out? Because it probably didn't come out like right away. When did you, because not the first week, I don't think it happened, but when did that come about?
That actually came about by happenstance because I also create digital products. Again, a lot of this stuff really just, I'm not going to say happened to me because I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, but it really happened by chance. Like people like, oh, do you do this? Do you offer this? By me sharing? Like I'm in a lot of Facebook groups and I create digital products and I just put it out there. I'm like, oh, this is what, and I'm like, okay, I need the whole thing. And how much is it? And, like, and I actually got a speaking engagement from doing that. And I just put out there, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. And again, because I'm a teacher, I'm putting the guidelines in there, like the state standards and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, just kind of breaking it down. And, they really love my material and I need you to speak to my parents and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay. So it kind
Awesome.
of happened by me just putting myself out there with just giving, not
Okay.
expecting anything in return. And
Yeah.
people really saying, hey, why aren't you doing X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, well, I was just concerned about my own kids. I'm just
Just
doing
trying to
my
help other
thing.
people. I don't
Yes,
know. That's amazing.
yes.
So is it hard to bring it into like a business aspect? Because at first it was just kind of like helping each other out and like trying to just put things out there, but becoming business and actually someone asking you how much and you're like, I don't know. So how did you figure
Exactly.
that out? The business side.
Again, just trial and error, but I will also say I knew immediately I don't like to waste time. And like I said, I can be very serious. So I'm like, who can help me? Who can I call?
Mm-hmm.
Like who, I'm already looking like who's in that space and doing that thing that I need, where I need to be. And so I immediately connected with coaches, some worked, some didn't, and I'm like, oh, you're not giving me what I need. Cause, although I'm beginning, I'm not like I'm fast moving too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I need you to come with me or
Yeah. Keep up. Come
yeah,
on. Sorry, it's a video,
push
but
and
yeah, come
push
on.
push and encourage me, like push me,
Yeah.
encourage me to do more, So
Yeah.
so just coaching, getting with other coaches who are out there doing that thing and not being afraid. Like my motto this year is dang, I done forgot what it is. Hold on. Because my
We got to
my
write it
mind
down.
is going
It's got to be right here in the
not
front.
perfection, progress, not perfection.
Mm,
Progress, not
Progress,
perfection.
not
I
perfection.
love that.
Oh,
And every time I feel myself getting stuck, because I can be a perfectionist, and a perfectionist is really someone who really don't feel good about themselves and they want everything to be perfect and everything to be right. So
yeah.
when they put it out there, then everyone else will receive it as being good and perfect. So then they feel good
Yeah.
about what they
Mm,
just gave.
mm-hmm.
And so when you release that and you release that need to feel perfect and you release that need of even other people receiving it, because it's not for everybody, it's
Yeah.
for who it's for. And whoever it's for will receive it, and who it's not
Yeah.
won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when they are ready to receive it, they will. Like,
Exactly.
so that's really nice. So where can like what would you tell someone who wants to either be a mompreneur or just to homeschool their kids?
Mm.
What would you tell them?
Well, first, let's start with if you want to homeschool your kids. If you want to homeschool your kids, the first thing I would tell you to do is find out the laws in your state
Mm.
and make sure you know those laws. And the reason and why is so more important now than ever before, because at the time of this recording, COVID is running rampant and parents are pulling their children out of school because they are afraid. And I completely understand. But
Mm-hmm.
we also need to understand that dollars follow the child, but they don't follow the child in homeschool. They follow the child from school to school, system to system, state to state. So
Hmm.
if you take a child out of a public school and you put them in your home school, that state no longer receives the dollars for that child.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And so we know that they are always looking at the money and they want to
Mm.
protect the money. So that means they're going to start getting even stricter on these laws, and they're going to be knocking on doors, making sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing for homeschool. So to go to figure that out, to figure out what the laws are in your state, hslda.org is where you want to go. And you just click on your state and then you can find all of the laws, for your state. So I would tell you to start there first
I
before
was
doing anything
curious
Okay.
else.
how your business and how your mindset had sort of changed with COVID and this sudden onslaught of people being forced to homeschool, how has that sort of changed the way you look at things in your own business?
Really no different. And this is going to sound crazy, but I am a little bit grateful for COVID. And why is because the people that me being an African American in the homeschool space, and I think homeschoolers in general, before COVID, homeschoolers were looked down and frowned upon. It was not something that people looked at as the thing to do or even the thing you should be doing. It was just an anomaly. You shouldn't be doing it, blah, blah, blah. It was like a big deal. Now everybody has been forced into it. Their eyes are opened as to actually what goes on in that homeschool environment. And the world, I believe, has a lot more respect for homeschoolers in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It's been a
that's the
challenge
thing
for
that I say
many
I'm
people. Yeah, I bet it's like just been a challenge from what I hear from many
Exactly.
people.
That's right. And so
Yeah.
that's the part that I'm grateful for. Now
Awesome.
they get to see, what we do exactly. And it's not this preconceived notion, which 9 times out of 10 is wrong, is not correct, in the first place. So now they kind of get a walk in our shoes, which is really not what it is, because this is not how we homeschool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
pre-COVID.
Yeah. What about mompreneuring or
Yes.
entrepreneuring from
Yes.
home?
So the first thing I would tell you is you got to get your kids on a schedule.
I've
You
heard
got
that
to get them
so many times this year.
you
Yeah,
got to get them
scheduling.
on a schedule. And because when, for an example, now my husband is here today, and I will say sometimes the schedule will not, it will just blow up, right? So you also got to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if my husband was not here, the kids will be doing one or two things, because during the week we don't do TV at all. But my husband is here, and so his way to keep them occupied is with the TV, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It works, but yeah.
But if he was not here, they would be right in this room with me, but you would not hear a peep. They will be sitting right over there working and doing something quietly. And the reason being is they didn't just learn, they can't just do that. They're children. They're 4, 7, and 9. So I have 9-year-old twins. So
Wow.
even the 4-year-old, you'll hear the 4-year-old, you quiet as a mouse. The reason why they've done that is because the schedule that we have in place and the practice of that schedule is something we follow and we do. So they practice quiet time every day. So all of this is instilled in them, and it's something that they are practicing on a regular basis. So when mommy needs to work or when mommy has to do something, they already know what to do, and they can be focused on that, and they won't need my attention. That is why a schedule is so important. Because when you have to step away from your kids, when you have that schedule in place, they won't skip a beat. They'll still be on target, and then they won't need you and interrupt you. Now you're frustrated. Now you're yelling at the kids. Now you're angry with the kids because you're trying to do something and they don't understand.
Yeah, because they're young.
And the great thing too is starting them young on a schedule. I feel like the older I get, I'm trying to teach myself again how to get on a schedule to get things done. Where if you can instill that at a young age, they'll carry that forever. So
yeah,
this is why I love homeschooling, because homeschooling is life school. You'll hear me say that time and time again. Homeschooling is life school, and we're not sitting here just learning algebra just because. We're learning, why do we use algebra in the real world? Like my kids.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They have a YouTube channel. They help me cook. They help me do the shopping. They do the grocery list. They do the budget. Like even the 4-year-old, everyone has a week.
Oh my gosh. It's like a kids like teaching YouTube channel?
They have a cooking, their YouTube channel is a cooking
that's
show.
Adorable. What's it called?
Thomas Kids Cooking Crew.
Oh, okay. So cute. I love that. That's so cute.
They would do a lot more with it if I let them, but I'm like, let's just hold on.
Hold on. One thing at a time. Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool.
Thank you.
So where was you? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, what do you want next? What's the next thing for your business in the sense?
2021, I see already is going to be amazing. But I will say at the same time, I have no expectations. Because if I have expectations at the end of it, if whatever that expectation was, if I didn't meet, I will be disappointed in myself. So what I am is open and willing to receive whatever God has for me. And every day I am working hard to achieve that next thing.
Yes, I
Okay,
love
so
that.
if today
Yeah.
is the podcast, if today I need to do a blog, if today I need to do whatever that thing is, I'm just focusing and working on that.
I hope people feel that, like, Kiyana, you're so infectious
I
in your
know, I'm like,
passion.
joy. I'm
Like,
just
I'm just like, yes, I want to go and do this and that. And I'm
I don't have
listening and I'm
kids, so why does
receiving.
it do everything?
And I'm like, people have to watch the video because it's like right here. And I hope they can hear it in the podcast as well. But yes, okay, so sorry. That's all I was about to say about that.
I love that. Okay, so where can people find you so that they can follow your journey as you keep growing and glowing?
Thank you. I would say the most updated content is Instagram, and that's I am Kiyana Thomas.
Okay.
But I also have a blog, and that's kiyanathomas.com. And then the YouTube channel. Again, I am Kiyana Thomas. So those will be the three avenues. I try to, my goal this year is also working on being more consistent, because I will tell you, one of the things that I focus on in my homeschool and in general and in life is mindfulness and being present. And so my goal is making sure that I am present for my children. I am present and mindful for myself, practicing self-care. If I'm overloaded and overwhelmed, I step back and just take a woosah, like take a break.
We all need that.
Yes.
Once in a while.
Yes.
Hold it together.
Yes.
That's awesome. And that's beautiful for your children too, because they'll see that and they'll like reflect it and they'll be like, okay, like, you know, mom's doing like this, like I'm, you know, that's actually really good. I'm gonna calm down too. And okay, yeah.
Yes.
So it's
And you know, that's great that you mentioned that, because we practice that they will, when I start to get, you know, a little bit excited, they let me know, mommy, you're yelling.
Oh.
Mommy, you're such and such. And I have to take a step back, because one of the things I am not afraid to do is apologize to my children. And if it's something that I was wrong, and I, you know, if I'm yelling or if I'm acting out of anger, these are things that we talk about, because no, that should not happen. You are a child, you are innocent, and that should not happen. So if I'm acting out of anger, or if I'm doing these things and yelling or whatever, which it doesn't happen often, but if it happens, they do let me know.
Check you.
They do.
Right.
And I step back and I apologize and give them hugs and give them love and tell them I'm working on it, because nobody's perfect, right? Like we just do the best.
We're all working on it, you know. We all need someone to tell us, you know, and check us sometimes, and that's beautiful that they can talk to you openly like that.
That's also going to teach them from a young age to apologize.
Yeah.
And take responsibility when things don't go right. All
Yes.
those things.
And that's okay, you know.
Yep.
But so we can find you on Instagram mainly. You have your blog. If anybody wants to contact you on Facebook, do you have a Facebook page?
Oh, I do have a Facebook page.
Oh, there you go.
Kiyana Thomas, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like that's all we need.
We're gonna link them all below as well. And I really do
Okay.
hope that you guys check out the video, because she's just full of so much joy. And
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been amazing. It sounds like you're doing an amazing job. Your kids are thriving, and you've got all your own stuff too, which is super important as a mom. So
I love it. I wanted to just share one last thing. This month, or coming up in February, we will be, or at the time of this recording, we will be doing a character traits journal, my kids and I.
Okay.
And I am super excited about this. So it's a journal that I created, and basically every day they'll pick a character trait that they want to focus on. It also helps them with journaling. So they'll write a prayer in there, and whatever character trait is that they're talking about, they're going to talk about ways that they display that character trait. And then it also highlights positive African Americans in our community that displays character traits. How did they display this character trait? I am so excited.
Oh, so great. You should, do you have like an outline that they follow? on the
Yes.
sheets? Okay, because then that could be like posted on your blog. That would be an
I
amazing
was gonna say, you need to
exercise
make a
for
book for
anybody.
all of this. This is
Yeah,
so
make a
good.
book or like sell the journal type of feel like, but that's
Yes.
amazing. Great
Yes.
Good
story.
for
Yeah.
you. Oh,
Wow.
well, this
Thank
has been
you.
so much
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes.
We're definitely going to link everything below so that people can find you and follow you and learn from you and all of that good stuff. So thank you so
Awesome.
much. If you guys are listening to this, please leave us 5 stars and a review. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of that good stuff. The video is going to be up on YouTube. And thank you guys so much. I'm one of your hosts, Monica Ortega.
And I'm Kristen Herman.
And thank you so much, Kiyana Thomas.
Thank you guys. This was awesome. Be
Bye.
blessed.